Today we're going to be talking about a special kind of report in Microsoft Access, and that is a labels report. So let's jump right into it. First of all, it depends on what kind of labels you have. Some of the labels that you can purchase, here we are on the Staples website. Some of these are easy to purchase. Here you can see what they might look like. Labels come in different sizes. And if your company has a deal with Microsoft, it can be very easy to print on these labels with some setups that Microsoft has in Access. To do that, you need to know what the manufacturer is of your labels, in this case Avery, and what the number is, in this case 5660. So we're going to try to make a labels layout that fits on these specific labels. Let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and open up the database I've been working on. And again, we're going to go to the Create tab, and we're going to pick labels here. That is a specific wizard that will help us go through the steps to creating that. Before we do, let's make sure we have selected the data we would like to use to build the labels report, in which case we're going to select the specific table or query we want. I'm going to pick this table, the one we've been working on. It's full of books. You do not need to have it open to be able to create a labels wizard. I'm just going to select it, and I'm going to pick labels. All right, so here your first choice is, do you know what kind of labels you have? If so, you can pick from the list. You can pick the manufacturer. If you know it, you can pick the specific product number. If not, you're going to need to click Customize down here, and you're going to need to do a lot of measuring of margins and label size and space between your margins. You can do it. It's just going to take a bit longer. Maybe that's a separate video. But we are going to be using Avery 5660. So I'm going to start on my list finding Avery. And then I'm going to go through the product numbers to find 5660. Now we have tons and tons of these, so we may need to scroll a bit. They are in alphabetical order or numerical order, as the case is. So we're just going to scroll until we find 5660. So once we found that, I may have passed it. There we go, 5660. And it gives you the dimensions and the number across the top of the sheet. If that sounds right, we can select it and continue. On this next step, it asks what font size and font we would like to deal with. Now, you want to be careful that you don't pick a font size too large to fit on the labels. I'm going to leave it at defaults for now, but if you want to come back later in your design mode and make it a little bit bigger, that's fine. So I'm just going to leave it like that. Now it asks what information you want on the labels, and you also determine what line. Let's start with the author on the first line, and that's all I want on the first line, so I'm going to hit the Enter key to go down to the second line. Underneath that, let's do book title. Now you can put more than one of these on the same line. For example, I could type a comma and a space and add the year, or if we decide we want that on a separate line, I can enter and put it on the third line. But just to show you what these are like, you can put two on the same line, but if you put them back to back like this, they're going to run together. So I always like to put a comma and a space in between, or something else to space them out. I don't feel the need to put the ID number there. So let's go to the next step. Here, do you want to sort the records? Sometimes that might make it a little bit easier. In my collection, I've actually sorted them by the year they won the award. So I'm going to sort by year. You do not even need to do this step if you don't want. And then finally, what are we going to call this? I always like to name this. If I'm doing a specific size of labels, I want to include that in the name. And of course, this is a labels report, so I want to put R for report. So I'm going to put Avery 5660 books, and then with an R because this is reports. And let's finish that. Now, that's going to usually give us this warning. If you've got data that's spilling off the labels, it may get clipped when you're printing the labels. Let's click OK and take a look and see how that looks. Now, I do know that a couple of these book titles are pretty long. For example, Good Master, Sweet Ladies. That's kind of a long title. So stuff like that may have problems fitting on the labels. but for the most part, this looks like it fit just fine. If you want, you can always come down into our design mode and adjust what's here. You can space stuff out if you feel you want to. You can change the font, you can change the size. And this is actually where I would do that, where I could come back to our different views to see what that looks like, both in report view. I like the print preview view because you're going to, a report is designed to be printed and you're going to want to see what it looks like on paper. So that is how to create a report to fit on labels.